Here's a video with my papa dog on the bed, but I can tell it is too dark in here. Yes, that is what the problem is. I don't have a night sensitive, light sensitive camera. But I'm going to take the papa dog with me. One can barely see the papa dog. I'm taking the papa dog. Here he's running over, but it's hard to see. I'm gonna take the papa dog with me now. Here's his hand. I'm taking him with me. I'm taking him with me in the garden now. Yes, capturing the last sunlight today and feeling good, breathing and getting oxygen. Yes, and nature. That's what we're gonna do right now. So I'm gonna let Jiddu Krishnamurti run. Here's my Jiddu Krishnamurti, here's my camera, and here is the papa dog on my bed. Yes, he is. Yes, Sandy says hi to you. Yes, she's sending you hugs and kisses. Yes, let's go in the garden, come. We go in the garden, papa dog, come. Wanna go in the garden? Let's go in the garden, yes. Go in the garden? Come, let's go in the garden. Come, let's go. Come, there you go, papa dog. There you go. It's always a little bit difficult jumping down from that recliner chair, but it's okay. It's just barely okay. But when he jumps down, he always makes the sound like, like it is quite difficult to jump like this. Yes, and then this entire big, huge elephant seal body has to jump down. And here we have a ramp that we made for the blue god before the papa dog. The ramp that goes up to that first porch. And yes, papa dog, the rain has stopped. Isn't that something? That is awesome, is that? Yes, that is awesome. And here is my pure jardin. The pure from the garden. The pier that was here before we moved to this place. So, and as you can see, it has these little buds that are coming up now, that are getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And they're gonna open up into little pink bellflowers, like bell-shaped, like the lily of the valley. But they're not related to lily of the valley, but they look very similar to them in the flower type. So I guess these little bellflowers, they have an evolutionary niche or reason. That's why they come in many different species, because apparently the pollinators, they go into them and they drink their nectar. So I normally eat 1 to 2 leaves at night before I go to sleep. That helps me to sleep better, and they are very rejuvenating and calming. And anything that's calming is also rejuvenating, of course, but these have some, I don't know what's called, some kind of ester and some kind of alkaloids in it that are particularly rejuvenating. So yeah, you can get yourself a little one. You can get yourself one about this size in a pot in a nursery, and you can put that by the window and water like every 2 days or every 3 days. I don't know how much water it needs in the beginning. They get a lot of water here, so, and I think they are originally from Japan. It's the Japanese garden decorating plant. It is listed as a toxic plant in the botanical libraries. What is this here? That is something that doesn't belong in this. something else that grew, I think, out of that. Paul has trimmed all of this. So yeah, I can see this is a sticky one. This has stickers and it grows into everything else. So I will show this again when they're blooming. That is gonna be around, I think it's gonna be coming up now. It's probably gonna be at the end of April or beginning of May. So Papa Dog is drinking out of the swimming pool. I didn't want that swimming pool to be put down there again, but the wind must have flown it over, and then the rain filled it up, and now there are worms in it again, and worms that drowned, and that's not so good. So I'm gonna have to I'm gonna have to empty that swimming pool in quotation marks. So yes, Papa Dog, it's nice here. Yes, it is nice. It is very, very, very nice. After the rain, it feels good. It feels good to take Sandy with us into the garden. Yes, that is very nice, is that? Yes, that is very nice. And there is this is also a japonica. Japonica means from Japan originally. This is the Camellia japonica, Professor Sargent. That is the name. And this one is non-toxic. And this one is in the tea family. There's also a Camellia sinensis, and this Camellia sinensis is related to this one, and that is what they make black tea from. Like, you know, all these Sri Lanka, Ceylon teas, the real tea flower, the real tea plant. And I believe they use these very heavy, very, very thick, heavy, shiny leaves for that. I think they, oops, rain coming down on my tablet. I hope this doesn't hit the tablet, because this is not exactly waterproof. So yeah, I think what they do is, you know, with the Camellia sinensis, I think they roast this or dry it and roast it or something like this, and then they make the tea out of this. So this can also be made into a tea. It doesn't contain caffeine though, you know, but it contains other amazing stuff. Amazing, amazing, amazing flavonoids, bioflavonoids, and alkaloids, and amazing, amazing things. Look at this fresh, juicy thing. The Professor Sargent is the one that has like 1 or 2 or 3 flowers growing out of one, kind of, you know, like bunched up and convoluted, beautiful flower. And so this one is the pink one, the pink version, the coral version, the coral version with some white streaks inside. So you can see it in this one too. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. And yesterday I made myself a tea out of these. I had dried them upstairs in the room. I dried several of those that I had picked the other day. And I made myself a tea with this, and I could clearly taste. I also put a twig of my rosemary plant in it, which tasted really great. That gave it the extra flavor of the rosemary. Rosemary has more of a flavor than this has. But this one has a bit of a flavor of the Camellia sinensis, actually. Here is my beautiful, beautiful, beautiful fairy animal. Yes, yes, the Orange King, as I call him. Yes, that is what he is. Very nice. We have a birch tree, and those are my 2 rosies. And I had to put something around them. because, and one can see now the sunshine has made them grow. This is fantastic. I was a little worried about them in the winter time because the winter was rough this time. Very rough winter. This one is not growing as fast as this one, but it is making it, and they are making it through the winter, and I am excited about this. And Paul wanted me to pull the so-called weeds. I don't call those weeds. I call those they're equally precious beings, even if they're spiky and stuff like that. You know that these spiky type of so-called weeds, as people call it, you know, they call them, they even call them pest plants and stuff like this because they don't want them around. Those are very infinitely precious healing plants. Those are medicinal plants. Roses too. This one is a real liver detoxifier and blood cleaner. This kind of stuff, this kind of thistle type of thing. It's very, very healing. And all of these plants that are growing in there, they're all medicinal. They're all valuable. And this one here, the Camellia japonica, actually I researched all of this. Camellia japonica actually is it takes out radiation out of the body. This is quite something. You know, if we ever have some excess radiation because of pollution and stuff like that, it will equalize it. It will balance that out. It's pretty neat. I'm eating some of the petals. Here's our rhododendron garden, and they are having buds, big buds, and they're going to come out in the summertime. They're going to start in late May or something, early June. They come in many different pink colors and peach colors and coral. Papa Dog likes to go in there sometimes into the rhododendron garden. That's very nice. And there we have two large cedars directly in front of the house, and I'm very grateful that the original people who bought this house, they were from Sweden, that they left all the trees around this house, all the way around, in direct vicinity, just a few feet. Some people, they worry about the roots uprooting the house, and the Swedish couple, they didn't worry about it. They have a strong cement foundation that goes down, that prevents the roots from growing in. That's why I always say, let's build with cement and steel and glass, plexiglass. Those are the best home structure materials, and not built with wood, because as one can see, the wood rots and then it has to be repaired, and it's just a big hassle. So that's what's going on, and I'm so glad we got good weather right now. I'm so happy about this. It's wonderful, good air, breathing air, and yes, I want to talk about that subject that Sandy mentioned. I want to talk about how to protect oneself from toxic energy and people who haven't worked on themselves. Just before I get into this, I just wanted to say, when I made tea with it, it has that same type of tonic, bitter type of taste in the mouth. You know, also when you eat this, it has that tea kind of taste and feeling in the mouth of it. You know, this kind of astringent type of feeling. There's another word for it. Forgot the word now. Yeah, some kind of tonic type of taste and feeling. little bitter, and very refreshing, and tastes very good, very elegant, very luxurious. I love it. Feels really great. And without caffeine, that's perfect for me because I avoid caffeine altogether. So, I mean, chocolate has caffeine, and I'm still addicted to chocolate, which is absolutely terrible. I was already off chocolate for like a year and a half, almost 2 years. But when you live with someone who's a chocolate addict, it becomes very difficult, and we relapse, and it's very, very difficult to quit. It's actually a drug. It's actually very addictive. So that makes it so difficult to quit chocolate. But yeah, how do we protect ourselves when we have to deal with in our lives with so-called toxic people, with people that can sometimes radiate out a toxic energy? How do we protect ourselves? Like you said already earlier, that we need to do meditation, and that is really the basics of all of this. This is the bottom line of all natural healing and coming back to our senses and calming down our minds and so on, grounding ourselves. Also, sitting on the ground would be really good. If I could sit on the wet grass now, like if I came out of a jacuzzi and lie down on the grass naked, that would be the ultimate grounding experience. But right now I'm not that warm, so I'm kind of chilly right now, and I don't want to get my pants wet. I'm gonna take a hot shower later, but using the last daylight here. But sitting on wet grass or on grass in general without a plastic or synthetic type of shield — my pants are synthetic — that would prevent the grounding process a little bit. The worst is a plastic foil or mat, So the best is to wear cotton clothes and have, if we don't want to get our pants dirty from, with green grass stains or snail stains or whatever, we can put a cotton mat, a yoga cotton mat underneath, and then lie down on that, and that will get us grounded as well. So that's really, really, really good to do if we can do this. It's really the best. Could also be good on a balcony. It depends on how the house is grounded into the actual ground. Some houses they have a structure where the floors are grounded to the actual ground. There are shoes actually by — who makes those shoes again? Birkenstock makes those shoes that there's a specific sign on the sole, a spot or something that indicates that that shoe is grounded, and some doctors they prefer to use those when they're walking around in those all day long. A grounding shoe, because they feel like they get electrocuted if they don't get grounded. We kind of — our bodies start to collect like electron overcharge or something from the air, and if that doesn't get grounded, if that doesn't flow back through our feet out into the ground, then it kind of accumulates in the body. That's why when we were traveling in the motorhome, when we were in Reno, Nevada, it was in May 2005. I was constantly getting electrocuted with like really large, dramatic blue flashes. I wouldn't even have to touch anything metal. I could be this far away from the metal, and the blue flash would come out of the metal and go into my hand. It was insane. And that is why we left Reno, Nevada, for that very reason. Or I would have stayed there because I really liked it. I like the hot springs around, and Reno is great for shopping also, and has everything, and has all of these large health food stores and stuff, and the people are nice. So we had to leave because of the flushes. So we had to go back over that huge Donner Pass and the mountain range that is between Reno and the ocean, and then coming back towards the ocean, getting the ocean breeze. The ocean breeze alone grounds me, because that alone takes the stuff, even if I'm standing on in a motorhome that stands on rubber tires, or standing on shoes with the rubber soles like this, So the grounding positive ions from the ocean will rebalance out my chemistry, my electrochemistry in my body. So, but the best is, as Dr. Richard Scholes talked about, that it's very important to lie down on the grass every day for an hour. It's impossible if it rains every day, and if it's cold, like it is still right now, it's still too cold for that. But if you go into a jacuzzi or sauna, then you can do this afterwards. You can lie down at least for 5 minutes and soak in the earth energy and ground yourself. It's very important. So it's very important to be grounded when we are dealing with other people that are not grounded and that are also not balanced emotionally. Very important. So that's why our health is very, very important. We can't help, you can't even help other people. I can't even be really there. For example, for my mother, if I am not grounded, if I'm not balanced, and if I feel completely out of whack, and we trigger each other so enormously, and I'm sure I trigger the hell out of her, just my bare existence does, but that's because she's never worked on her issues. I asked her long time ago, I asked her when she was 70, I said, why don't we both go to Esther Odermatt to Switzerland? She was still in Geneva at that time. She had the Therapie Primal Center, the Therapie Primal Institute from Esther Odermatt and Miriam Ansamat. And I used to go there a few times. So I said to my mother, why don't we go to them and do this together? And she stomped her foot down and said, should I now, old as I am, at age 70, start doing primal therapy? Other people have done it. They were much older even. There are people in their 80s that have started primal therapy. I've seen all of those people, and they weren't they weren't like so hardened. They weren't so clinging to their self images. They were much more open and fluid. That's why they signed up for primal therapy in the first place. Someone who's like completely clenched up is not even going to consider it, and that is the case with my mother. So, and as extreme toxicity and negativity and hostility irradiated out of her ego taking offense to this question that I even asked. And so how do I deal with this? The way I dealt with it, I just totally didn't say anything anymore. I just let it go. I said, okay. I mean, what else can I do? I can just, so all I can do is I say, I'm going back to LA. I'm gonna continue primal therapy there, and that's what I did at that year. When was that? That was in 1997 or something, 1996, somewhere around that time was this conversation. So, and that was just one out of many negative and toxic conversations I had with my mother. And yeah, did I do? I usually didn't deal with it very well. So, because I wasn't so well, but my mother was even less well. That's the problem, because she really refused to deal with this stuff, because she is, I am, there must be terror inside of her, or inside of anyone who is in that much resistance, towards healing and working on themselves and growing and flowing, and being in that, being that what they are, being that they are, and not being some other thing, some self-image that they have to constantly live up to, or whatever, or or prove to themselves that they are, the lawyer, or the judge, or whatever, the dentist. So yeah, it's like, it's this, they have a diploma on the wall. My mother doesn't, thank goodness. But most people, I've seen it, most people have the diplomas on the walls, also in their office rooms, for everyone to see, of course. And then they live by that. That's like, that's their identity. It's like, that is super clinging. But my mother does it the same super clinging, just maybe a little bit more intellectually packaged, or whatever, or packaged as, I am so understated. Yeah, that's another proud overstatement. So, but they don't see it, because they completely, because the ego doesn't see it. The ego is so caught up with all of this, And I love my mother infinitely much, and I wish her the best. And I told my brother, I want them all to be well. I really do. I also feel guilty about me having my emotions and my breakouts, and I feel bad about this, and I feel remorse, but I cannot deal with it. I'm not a god. I get triggered so badly, you know. I get triggered so horribly when I encounter an emotional injustice. I know when I look from above where it's coming from, but in that moment that I experience the emotional injustice that comes at me, I lose it. And if I didn't lose it, then it would be even worse. Then I would be chewing that into myself, and I'll be sitting on this, clenching it down. That would be even worse. It's better. It's much better if we say something. If we say, "Hey, this is wrong," we need to say it to them. We need to openly say it to them. And if we freak out and get mad, yeah, that can happen sometimes, It's not super, but they have to understand that we are not gods either, okay? We all have different developmental levels in terms of what we bring into this existence. And that's okay. And we work with that, and from that point on, I can't be, siren is going on, I can't be dealing with something in a better way than I can in any given moment. So they always do these siren tests. I don't know why they do it. So yeah, there's the blue god. And meditation helps us to get tuned into the infinite cosmos. And this experience makes us feel whole again. And we put all of our broken puzzle pieces back together. We sort ourselves out, and then we can see the other people, where they're coming from, and how and what's going on. And there are no demons, it's just ego energies. Some people, when they're stagnators, they accumulate the ego energy, lots of ego energy, because they don't know how to cope with this any other way. They're not as experienced yet of a soul to cope with what comes at them. in the best possible way, and it's okay. It's not a big problem. It is a problem for everyone, for them and everyone. Makes life harder, but it's not a problem in terms of, I'm not going to make this a problem and blame it on them. So I'm telling them it's not a problem. You are where you are. You can't be anywhere else other than where you are, and you're in everyone's personal, individual developmental stage, and then we go from there. But it's very important for all of the stagnators out there, people like my mother, and there's so many, the world is full of them, that the vast majority of people, it's 99% of humanity. So she's not alone in this, So I didn't get along with that majority because I have a different developmental stage, and Sandy does too. Sandy is more developed than I am. Sandy is an angel, so I'm an indigo. Those are very developed soul levels already. I'm like kind of like midterm sort of. Sandy's already above midterm, but it's still hard for us to cope with these 99% of stagnators. Of course, they make life very hard because they don't know how to deal with the issues, and they kill each other, and they bang each other's heads together, and it's very difficult. So they traumatize each other, and they don't know how else to cope with it, other than most people are violent. My mother is not physically violent, but she's verbally and emotionally violent and abusive. Okay, and she doesn't even know she is. She doesn't even realize that she is. Okay. So on a higher level of looking at it from above, I can clearly see where she's at, and I feel for her, and I love her infinitely much. I feel sorry for her in a good way, not in a condescending way. Okay. She feels sorry for me in a condescending way, but that's where she's at. That is her state where she's at. Okay, and that condescending thing, that comes across as very toxic, but I'm not accepting it. I block it off. So, and that's what we have to do. We have to tell them, here's my boundary, and you're not going to step across this boundary, because hey, I'm existing too, and I want to be well too. I want to enjoy my life too. I want to be happy. I want to be well and healthy. I don't want to suffer. I don't want to be living in a grudge and all of this. So I don't want to experience these kind of emotions. I've already been through a lot of that. But I hammer it out. I let it out. It's flowing. I don't sit on it. My mother sits on it, and then she accumulates more and more and more of that ego energy, and that's not good. And then she becomes this it's always scaring me when this happens. So I have to plug the camera in again. So okay, so anyway, I gotta plug the camera in before this whole thing turns off. So I better get going. Okay, you guys take care. Bye bye.